What's your name?
Guy.
And you've been here since October 6th.
With about a week and a half out, I went back to PA, took care of a little business, but I've been here most of that time, yeah.
And how do you think the movement's going?
Uh, well, I think it's going well. I think it's had a huge effect. Naturally, there have been some setbacks, but those things would be expected. I think we knew at some point that there was going to be resistance to encampments and some getting turned out.
Right, and you're talking about resistance and all that, and setback. You're talking about Los Angeles?
Los Angeles, New York, Philadelphia got turned out last night. Columbia. But this, see, the Occupy, I think you really have to look at this in the long term. The Occupy isn't the end in itself. It's the beginning step in what's going to be a very long campaign. It's done a lot, these Occupies, to raise awareness, to change the discussion. People in the middle of January, middle of September, really didn't think who was the 99% and who was the one. Now it's on everybody's lips. They know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, it's become more popular.
Yeah. They know what a mic check is. Boy, a politician hears mic check and he starts to cringe. Yeah. So we really changed the political landscape. That's good.
You talk like a mic check. How did that ever come about?
You know, I don't know. I think it was just a matter of necessity. Mainly, a lot of these encampments didn't have electricity, didn't have amplification to carry the voices over a large crowd, and so it was born what they call the human microphone.
Right, and you see the way like you guys here in Washington D.C. in L.A. all across the country, you guys still have the same protocol. So the way it caught on, you know.
It did. The internet helps a lot with that because what happens anywhere in the country happens next door. You get to see it and you get to know what's going on.
You think you're going to accomplish anything with actually? I mean, you're not focused though. People say you're not focused. You don't have a leader.
I think we are focused. We might not have a leader, but we're definitely focused.
So how can you say you're focused when there's so many issues?
Well, I think it's a myth that we're not focused. I think some of the mainstream media, like the Fox, which I call FAUX, Faux News, and others, like to say that, oh, they don't have a message, they don't know what they're saying.
Well,
but we do.
You have so many messages.
But if you listen, there's a common thread through all of it. And the common thread is the corporate control of every aspect of our lives and our government. We used to have an electoral process that was based on one man, one vote. Now it's $1, one vote. And we the people don't have a chance. And that's common. You'll find that no matter what anybody is talking about in any of the Occupies, whatever issue, it does come back to that. It comes back to the fact that we the people are out of control of our government, and we're the ones who should be in control.
Right. So basically, if you're going to have change, who's going to really affect the change? It'll be the politicians, right?
Well,
I mean, they're the ones in power.
They respond to the people. They respond to popular pressure.
Right.
And that's what's being generated here.
But you gotta understand, like a lot of these people, like you take the right wing. The right wing is totally against this Occupy movement, and they're probably going to get reelected again because of the gerrymandering.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I think we're at a sea change, similar to what we saw in the later 1800s, or actually earlier 1800s. There was once a time when the two dominant parties were the Whigs and the Federalists. It seemed like they would be that way forever. I think we're seeing a shift in awareness of the American people. Well, Democrats and Republicans may be looking at their days being numbered.
And who do you think is going to come over, like an independent party?
I have no idea. That's what makes it so exciting. Who knew it was going to be Abe Lincoln and the Republicans?
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, but things happen. We're on the verge of things that we don't even fully know. The evolution that's going to take place.
What do you think about the
I heard a fellow speak last night. I think he put it beautifully when he spoke of Rosa Parks first sitting down on the bus and refusing to get up and move to the back. That was the anniversary of that event was just a few days ago. And at that time, nobody had ever heard of a local preacher by the name of Martin Luther King. And what grew from that, nobody could have imagined what it was. It was another full 8 years before the first lunch counter sit-ins. So we're at the beginning of a historical shift. It's going to take time. It's not going to be about days or weeks or months. It's going to be about years, and it's going to be a shift in consciousness and realities that we can't imagine what direction it's going to take.
Let's talk about that Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. You know, I would compare Martin Luther King as a white horse. I mean, basically, they didn't have a leader, the civil rights movement, and all of a sudden they got together, they listened to Martin Luther King talk, and how effective he was, and how persuasive he was. Do you think you guys are gonna? Do you think you people need a white horse?
It could occur. I mean, it could happen.
Do you think you must have a white horse? I mean, a leader.
I don't know that we necessarily must. Again, it's the form that these changes will take. It may involve a charismatic leader. It may not. He certainly, I don't think, could or should come from either of the two major political parties, because they're both thoroughly co-opted by the corporate interests that are the source of the problem. So wherever it comes from, if it comes, it's not going to come from there.
What about the independent party? That's a new one now, isn't it? The independent? Like the Ross Perot movement back in Clinton was.
Well, there have been a lot of third-party attempts that have run into problems, and that's a possibility. But it may not even be from that political genre at all. I mean, there's an infinite number of possibilities, and even talk about one almost precludes others. One possibility would be just a Fifth Amendment, an Article 5 constitutional convention, which could revamp everything. There's a provision in our Constitution to recall a constitutional convention and redraft the whole thing from scratch. It's Article 5 in the Constitution, and that's a real possibility.
Well, let's talk about time right now. You're looking at 2012 elections in November next year. Anything somebody has to emerge right now to carry your messages?
No. Like I pointed out before, between those first Montgomery bus boycotts and the first lunch counter sit-ins, it was 8 full years before that happened, and another 8 years before the first civil rights legislation.
You know, but
we're talking about a monumental evolutionary change that it doesn't happen as fast as I'd like it to, or any of us might like it to. But it started, and it's inevitable. It's a force.
Does this country really have 8 years? I mean, you know, people are hungry. They're losing their jobs right now. They can't pay their mortgages. They can't get medical insurance. I think 8 years. I mean, in 8 years.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in 1952,
Right.
and when I was an activist young youth in the 60s.
So you're 58.
59. When I was an activist youth in the 60s, I sat there and seriously questioned whether this country had another 4 years. It's got it.
It's got it. Well, yeah, you know, I mean, but will it be a third world country in another 4 years? You know?
It could be. It could that could. I mean, not necessarily be a bad thing. Not necessarily a third world country, but look at what's happened to Great Britain when they've supposedly slipped from being the dominant global empire to something not third world, but something less.
That was years and years ago.
That was years and years ago. But I think for their own people and their own homeland, it might be better. I mean, it's just not necessarily the place to want to be at the top.